Traders, how are you? Marcello, founder of the Day Trading Academy, co-founder of Speed Up Trader. Today we're going to be talking why the market crashed and if the bubble has finally popped. Overall, this year, 2020 has been pretty ridiculous, right? The hurricanes and the markets and everything else. And we have a situation now that I would say isn't necessarily serious, but we have a situation now where there's a lot of uncertainty in the market for a variety of reasons. And a lot of you have been asking me about, why the market's crashed and if it's going to come back. And, a lot of you have been getting into stocks and investing in things. So I just wanted to do a video to be able to answer all the questions. That way I could send out the video rather than answering every single message there on Instagram. So there's something that happened over the weekend. Well, I'm sure where Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the notorious RBG, the justice in the Supreme Court, has passed away. And so there's a situation now where there's a literal political war happening, and that's added a lot of uncertainty to what's going to happen now with the election. Now, doesn't matter what side you're on. I try not to be political because I think most of us are very tired of the political stuff, right? Every time we turn on the news, it seems to be just a political war zone. So it doesn't matter what side you're on. Whether you're on the left, on the right, or hate Trump and love Obama, or hate Obama and love Trump, that I'm not going to talk about. I'm going to talk a little bit more about why this is happening right now. Okay, we had the huge crash in March, obviously due to the self-imposed quarantines around the world, and that obviously destroyed a lot of the economies. The governments doubled down. They started with all of the stimulus, injected trillions and trillions in the case of the United States into the economy. The U.S. debt, if I'm not mistaken, it went up to $27 trillion. Which we are not going to pay back, obviously, right? Which is part of this. But now we have a situation where there's so much uncertainty of what's happening in the political climate, among other things, and that's why the market essentially came down. Now, the main problem, or the situation, I should say, it's not really a problem with RBG, is that obviously there's a war between the left and the right. It's that simple, right? And they both want to vie for power. Doesn't matter who it is. Each think they're right. Again, doesn't matter what side you're on. But the situation is that we have a situation in the Supreme Court where it was more balanced, where it was 5-4, leaning on the conservative or on the right side. And Judge Roberts would vote a lot of times on the left. Well, now that RBG has passed away, we have a situation where if Trump is able to get another justice in, that would mean that it's going to be overly conservative, or the left, obviously the liberals think that that's a very, very bad thing. So there's been situations where people on Twitter and other places have talked about anarchy and burning things down. Obviously we have seen the situation of what's going on with the riots and the protests in Baltimore and Portland and New York, literally war zones where people have completely left a lot of these cities, right? And they're leaving now, especially to places like Texas and Tennessee and Florida and Colorado. So the main situation with that is that what I believe is going to happen is this is going to be a very tightly contested election. I think that there's going to be a situation where no matter what side you're on, it's going to end up in the Supreme Court. So it's imperative for the Republicans to be able to get another justice in, not only for the election, but obviously for their viewpoints and everything like that. And then the left obviously wants to vie for power because they don't want to give up any power. So they don't want another conservative or right-leaning justice in the Supreme Court. So the problem is that in this election, which I believe, I do believe someone is going to win. It doesn't matter really who, right? If you guys want me to talk, I just want to stay away from the politics because I think I don't do these videos to talk about politics. But the election is going to get down to the same thing that happened between Gore and Bush in Florida, where it's going to end up in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to decide who the winner is. And so that's really going to be the deciding factor. And we also have companies, like Goldman Sachs, which is the single most important financial entity in all the United States, state that if Biden does win, that we're most likely going to see a drop in the stock market. And obviously it has to do with a lot of his views, which is fine. So that's the first thing. We have that uncertainty now with the election and the uncertainty about what's going to happen in the election. And this is, and then other side notes where it's going to, power up and motivate the user base of Trump and Biden and everybody else. Now, the second thing is we've had a significant rise in the second round of the coronavirus out of Europe, mainly London and the UK, where they're talking about having a second complete lockdown. So because the first lockdown worked so well, we actually have some numbers, right? We have facts in Sweden. They never locked down. They never closed schools. They never wore masks. And they're not having a second wave where now a lot of the countries, most of the countries, I should say, that had the mask mandate and you had to stay home and let's destroy our economies, they are now getting a second wave. And now they're starting to impose a possible second complete lockdown like in the one in the UK and then the second wave in Europe. So that's the second thing. So if the coronavirus isn't going to go away, right? If we don't have a vaccine to be able to cure the virus that has over a 98, 99% survival rate, then we can't open the economies. We just can't do it. So that's going to be an even bigger problem for the economy because a lot of people out there are suffering, right? Most of you haven't learned how to day trade, so you can't make money in this kind of environment. So see how I plugged that one in there? And by the way, if you like these videos, I always do these videos for free. I'm going to start doing a little bit more videos since I got a great little background here now. Go ahead and smash the like button for me. It helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. I love to be able to share almost 20 years of experience in the financial markets with you. So just hit that like button for me, and don't forget to subscribe as well. And share this with somebody if they have, they're worried about the IRAs and 401ks and everything like that. So we have the situation with the elections and the political crisis that we have right now. We have the second wave of the coronavirus, which is starting to creep up again in Europe and also mainly in London and the UK, which are talking about the total lockdowns. And then we have also the political impasse about the stimulus. So again, it's just a fight between the left and the right about what amount of money it should be, where the money should go. And because we have no stimulus, obviously, there's still a lot of people out of work. There was a report that came out of Yelp the other day that basically talked about 60% of the businesses that have closed are not going to reopen. And in my view, this has really been a mass transfer of wealth because most of the small businesses were all closed, whereas companies like Walmart and Amazon and Facebook, they were still open. They were never had to close. Obviously, Amazon has a benefit there, right? But it's a situation where there's been a lot of small businesses that were closed, especially in the hospitality industry, when they closed the restaurants, they closed the gyms. And so it's a situation where if we don't get any stimulus, then we're probably not going to continue better economically. If we're going to get a second wave without a vaccine, then it's probably not going to get any better economically, right? Because even though Europe isn't the largest economy in the world, remember the US is the largest, next comes China, and after that is the Eurozone. So it's not a country per se, but they are a big part of the world economy, a very, very big part. We're talking anywhere probably between 30 to 40% between the US and China, probably a little bit higher than that. But so that's basically what's going on. Now, moving forward to the election, have we reached the bottom? Would it necessarily continue to go up? If you're going to be able to plan on what to do coming up towards the election, there's a lot of uncertainty because, even though Biden could win, for example, or Trump could win. So most of you have pensions and 401ks and retirements that obviously are doing great right now because we're reaching record highs. But if we don't get a stimulus package, or if the corona comes back with a vengeance and we don't have a vaccine, then what's going to happen? Is the market going to continue going higher? Now, obviously, the market has been very, very volatile. I don't think we're going to continue to go higher if we don't get a vaccine or if we don't have good news about the coronavirus slowing down. And now we have the added pinch or the added punch of the situation with the political crisis with RBG. And so we have a situation now where there's going to be a lot of uncertainty. And, the new phones, for example, that are coming out for Apple, they're thousands of dollars. Do people really have thousands of dollars anymore to be able to buy iPhones when 60%, for example, of all the businesses on Yelp aren't going to open again? You see what I mean? So the long-term prospects aren't very good, and depending on who wins the election, they may not get any better. So if you're going to plan on the future, I have talked about this at length, especially in the past, about investing in precious metals and silver. There's a situation now where it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If we do more stimulus and we put more money into the economy, we're only literally just shooting ourselves in the foot later on. Because yeah, it's going to help the economy now, but it's not going to help the economy later, because eventually all of this debt has to be paid for. And this is why I've talked a lot about the crash of the dollar and the economy in the US, even though a lot of people don't believe it, right? Especially, nobody thought that the Roman Empire was going to fall when it did. Nobody thought the UK, the British Empire, was going to fall when it did, and nobody thinks everybody thinks that everything's going to remain the same. But we have a situation now where the amount of debt that Trump is adding, he's adding more debt in his first term than Obama did in 2 terms. And Obama added more debt in 2 terms than every other president combined before him. So it's literally gone absolutely parabolic. It's just continuing to rise. And unfortunately for us, it's not going to end well. So what I would do, and remember, this is not trading advice. We're not trading advisors. We don't trade people's money, but just for education, what I have done and what I have been preparing for is both sides. So if you're going to look at a company like Tesla or Apple or Facebook, a lot of you guys invest in a lot of these high-tech companies. Even Warren Buffett has 43% of all of his investments in Apple, which I think is a mistake. I would invest more in something like precious metals, like silver or gold and things like that, due to the fact that from now to the election, I think the election is going to be highly contested, as I mentioned to you. And when that happens, the uncertainty is going to go through the roof, even higher than it is now. And silver and precious metals are going to go through the roof. So I told you guys about the silver before. I've been talking to you guys about it for years. Now silver's at about 25, 26-ish. I think by the time we get to the election in November, it's going to be probably a bit 30, 35. It could even go to 40, depending on what happens. And so if you want almost a guarantee of something that's going to go up, obviously, do your own research. Your money's your responsibility. I don't want you guys to invest in something and come back and be like, well, Marcello told me. But we have a situation where short-term or long-term, it's one of the best plays. And obviously, do your research, the best way that you guys want to invest in silver or gold. But I would definitely be looking at something that's a little bit more foolproof, right? Even Warren Buffett, for example, who said that gold is rat poison. He was staunchly against precious metals and things like gold. He actually bought Barrick Gold as well. So if Warren Buffett, who was against it before, ended up buying gold, I think that tells us everything. I would do more silver than gold, but that's what I would do. So I don't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to do a quick video because a lot of you guys were asking me about why the market crashed, and that's essentially why. Those 3 reasons. I don't think it's going to recover as quickly because we don't have the stimulus. We have the situation with the coronavirus, the uncertainty about the election. That could change. If we do have a stimulus that's passed, for example, the market most likely will go up because it's obviously great for the market. But I think in any event, what we should do is plan for the worst case scenario and the best case scenario, depending on what side you're on. And whatever the case may be, silver, in my opinion, is still one of the best investments. And I highly recommend that you guys go and watch the video that I did. It's the one where I was holding the $40,000 position, these open positions that I had that were negative. Because, obviously in trading, everybody always makes money, right? Nobody ever loses money. So I wanted to show that. It was a presentation that I did at the seminar that we had this year, 2020, in February, before the corona hit hard. And obviously from that point, silver just skyrocketed, which obviously those positions didn't have done no negative, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, so that's I want to do a quick video. If you guys have any questions, don't forget to subscribe and leave all the questions with the hashtag #AskMarcello. I'll be happy to go ahead and pull those for you. And don't forget to like the video. It helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And I always do these videos for free so you guys can learn while I'm sharing almost 20 years now. It's a long time since high school. Anyway, see you guys next time.